Hey everybody, I'm BJ1, aka The Terrible Australian of supermarcy.com, and this is my video review of Manny Lewis, which is the new Australian romantic comedy drama, which is co-written and directed by famous Australian comedian Carl Barron. So let's get right into it. Now, for all those watching out there who don't know who Carl Barron is, he's a very well-known and very famous and extremely funny Australian comedian who I've actually seen live in concert. And his humor is definitely, I had to describe his humor, it's definitely sort of observational. He sort of looks at life and about himself and the people around him, and also has a bit of a sort of a tinge of a sort of a dark edge to it as well. And that sort of makes him sort of unique among many other comedians that are out there. So he's been sort of doing the comedian circuit for many, many years now, and this is actually his first film that he has starred in, so this is the first time he's acted. And not only that, he also co-wrote the script as well with the film's director, Anthony Meyer. So I honestly didn't know that this film, I have to admit, I honestly didn't know that this film even existed until a few weeks ago, until I just sort of started seeing the posters and the trailers and all that sort of pop up at some of the films that I've been seeing recently at the cinema. And I'm a huge supporter of Australian films, so I knew that I had to go see this film right away because I love Australian films. And watching the trailers, it definitely seemed right up my alley. And I will tell you this though, even though it was co-written and starring a comedian, it's not a full-on comedy. It's definitely sort of more of a comedy drama. Emphasis more on the drama, and it also is a bit of a romance as well. And I have to say, for his first acting debut, I thought Carl Barron did a really terrific job. I thought he gave such a performance that sort of conveyed sort of the loneliness and sadness of his character extremely well, and his sort of longing to, even though, yes, he may be somebody who thousands and thousands of people know and recognize, but at the same time, he's looking for that connection with someone that he could, and so basically the film is about him trying to find love, and he meets that in the form of his co-star, Leeanna Walsman. Now, if you don't know who she is, you might remember her because she had a small role in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I can't remember the character's name. I think it was Sam Wiesel. I think it might. I'm probably butchered that name, but I think that's probably the name of the character, because she was in that film. But I also knew her even long before then, because she was in this Australian film that I absolutely loved called Looking for Alibrandi, and she was on this TV show I used to watch back in the early noughties called Love is a Four-Letter Word. So she plays the love interest in this film, and I thought that they actually had a really good sort of chemistry, because both Carl Barron and Leeanna Walsman's characters are definitely sort of lonely, introverted people who are trying to find that connection, and it was just and their sort of interactions together were pretty good. But I have to say though, I think the best stuff to me of this film was not just the romance, even though I found the romance effective, but at the times I did find it a bit contrived, especially because that's when sort of you can tell that the script sort of comes in, because in the film, Leeanna Walsman's character, she works as a sex phone worker, and that's how her and Carl Barron's character, Manny Lewis, meet. Like, he brings up at first to wanting, as most people do when on phone sex, but at the same time it's a touching scene, because what he really wants is just to talk to somebody, and he sort of finds that connection with Leeanna Walsman's character, but he doesn't realize that it's her because she's putting on a performance. But then she finds out later that who she's been talking to on the phone is actually Manny Lewis, and she's seen him many times because they happen to go to this sort of cafe that they both frequent, but neither person has ever had the guts to sort of say something to the other. So, but then they sort of hook up, and it sort of follows their relationship, and then sort of like but at the same time, his character is still sort of ringing up the phone sex worker without knowing that it's actually Leeanna Walsman's character, and he sort of talks about how he feels about being in the relationship and the sort of problems that he has with her, but nothing too serious though, just sort of like little annoyances and that. And she's sort of sitting there listening to this, and then the next time they go out on a date, she sort of works on those problems, and like so that they don't annoy him on the next date. And well, there's a bit more to that, and I thought that even though that kind of stuff was a bit contrived, and I'll admit that, but what the stuff that really struck me the most about this film was definitely the scenes where we sort of follow the character of Manny Lewis just on his own, just his isolation, his loneliness, and his need to reach out to people, but at the same time, he's trying to reach out, but at the same time, he can't find that connection with people, even when people are trying to reach out for him. But it feels like, even though, yes, he's a famous comedian who can make a lot of people laugh, but he sort of, in those situations, he comes off really awkward. And you can sort of tell that there's an authenticity to all that and an honesty. And it doesn't surprise me at all that when I was doing my research on this film, that Carl Barron actually based some of the things in this film on his life. So there's a bit of a semi-autobiographical element to it. How much is of his own life's in the film, I'm not sure, but those scenes in particular just rang true, and I think a lot of people could, like how his character's feeling and how his character being alone, but also like what his character's like being in this relationship with Leeanna Walsman's character. Like, he is happy that he's found someone, but at the same time he's kind of scared, and he's trying to find excuses why they shouldn't be together. I think a lot of that stuff, I found that stuff really honest and believable, and I think a lot of people would relate to that on some level. Like, watching this film, even though my life is completely different from the character of Manny Lewis, I did sense there were things about what he was going through the film that rang true, and I could relate to on an emotional level, because some aspects did happen to me in my own life in some way, shape, or form. So, and I think that's what is the key for the film's success for me, is that it has that sort of relatability, and it's also pretty witty as well. And also the supporting cast that includes like Roy Billing, who plays Manny's father in the film. They have an interesting relationship, and there's sort of a dark backstory to them, because not too dark, but sort of like their relationship is a bit on the fence, and I feel like that was kind of the strongest element of the film, was that aspect, more so than the romance, which was kind of the only element of the film that felt contrived, even though I did enjoy that aspect. But yeah, it's just and also Damien Garvey, who plays Manny Lewis's manager in the film, he done a really good job as well, and I just thought it was just a great film. I really enjoyed it a lot, and it was interesting when I read the reviews after this film. A lot of them was sort of very mixed, mostly a bit negative, and I was actually kind of flabbergasted, because I honestly thought it was a really good film, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Like, yes, it's not a hilarious film as you would expect, like a comedian like Carl Barron to make, but I feel like he wanted to make something that was honest, but also felt very true with its emotions and drama, but also, have a laugh as well. But if people ask me what type of film this is, I would definitely say it's more of a romantic drama with elements of comedy. So but that's how I would describe the film to people. So, but yeah, overall, I was really pleasantly surprised about this film. The contrivances, other than the contrivances, I thought everything else was really good, and I'd be really interested to see what Carl Barron does next after this film. I think he definitely has an interesting career ahead of him as a film actor. I'd like to see him in other films, because I thought he just did a really great job in this film. So if I had to give this film a rating, I would give it a 4 out of 5. It's definitely a big surprise, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I would, if you love Australian films like I do, definitely go check it out. It's in limited release at the moment around Australia, so it might be a bit hard to find, but definitely go see it if you can. And yep, that's the end of my review of Manny Lewis. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone.